Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach, and I wanted to come on and talk about something that I really think needs to be talked about a little bit more out loud. So I titled this live topic, "No One is Coming to Save You." I wanted to share that last night I did the How You're Already Qualified for Macro Social Work Jobs webinar, and it was a complete hit. Social workers came into the space not clear around if they believing they didn't qualify for macro jobs, and I dispelled that myth in less than like an hour, where I broke down the top 5 transferable skills, which people commonly know them as, but I refer to them as experiences that every social worker, hey, how y'all doing? Thank you for the hearts. The transferable experiences that every social worker has that can get them macro jobs. And one of the reflections that was shared by someone who attended the live, and this was towards like the middle point, was that this is really something that our degree program should have taught us, as far as what I call the fundamentals of getting a job, right? Knowing how to effectively job search for the jobs that you want, knowing how to effectively write a highly optimized resume, knowing how to master your interviews to get the jobs you want, and then knowing how to career plan, which is all what I teach social workers inside of my coaching program. So the person made a comment in the Zoom chat around, this is something that our degree program should have taught us. And I hear that argument a lot, not necessarily from my coaching clients inside of the accelerator, but from social workers out on the streets. And my response back is always that it's not the responsibility of your higher education institution to teach you the fundamentals of getting a job. The scope of your higher education institution, be it a college or university, is to teach you how to critically think, right? So how they do that is by teaching you theory. In a lot of instances, they teach you application of theory. So that is why you have practicums. That's why you have internships. That's how you have work experience, things like that. However, it's the responsibility of a whole nother system to teach you the fundamentals of getting a job, right? Which is the workforce development system. That's the system where my professional experience lies. That's like the main reason why I became a macro social worker, is because I spent many years working in the workforce development system, right? So I wanted to talk about that because I see, okay, Jess. Okay. You say, yes, I've been in case management for 12 years, graduated with my MSW in 2022 and licensed in 2025 and struggling to find a new gig. Exactly. So what I see is that a common misconception, and this isn't about this is what I was just talking about. A common misconception that graduates have regarding their wonderful degrees is that their degree program, like I was saying earlier, should have prepared them and taught them how to get jobs, but it's not. And unfortunately, the onus is on you to supplement your education. Yes, you have your degree. It's wonderful, but it's just a tool. Again, your higher education institution prepared you to critically think. They prepared you with the knowledge that you need to brand yourself as a subject matter expert, or even to be like a thought leader regarding your discipline. But when it comes to the tangibles of getting an actual job, keeping a job, and advancing in your career, the responsibility is on you, right? To learn that skill, to learn those skills and master them. And so I wanted to talk about the fact that no one is coming to save you. And I wanted to share a little story around, like, years ago, I adopted that mindset, and it was a real reality check for me, because this is when I was in my early 20s, and I was out on my own in the world. I was under the assumption, that other people behaved and operated the same way that I did. And all of this, I'm going to bring it full circle, right? So it was like shortly after I had my daughter when I was 20. And I realized, like, no one is coming to save you, Marthea. If you don't make it happen, it doesn't get done. I still am learning the fact that people don't think about you the way you think about them. And so what I mean by that is, if you continue to wait and not saying any of you on this live is thinking this way, but if you have the mindset that, oh, such and such association or such and such degree program should have prepared me for this thing. If you're walking around with that mindset, you really are limiting the potential of your life as a whole, because that is the whole you're waiting on somebody to come save you mentality, right? And so I really wanted to come on and offer you a reframe, because it changed the trajectory of my life completely when I realized no one is coming to save you. If you don't make it happen, it ain't gonna happen. If you don't take responsibility for it, if you don't think about the things that you're gonna need present day and even for the future and plan accordingly for that and take the necessary steps to get that, you're not gonna have it, right? So I really wanted to come on and offer you a reframe around if you're holding that thought or if you're holding that belief system, because I see it a lot from social workers out on the social work streets who make rants on LinkedIn and on social media platforms around what such and such association or group should be doing. You really are doing yourself a disservice, and you're limiting the full potential of your life. I was having a conversation. Oh, thank you, Miss Candy, for the hand claps. I'm hoping it's landing because it was on my heart. I was in a conversation with Candace, my career coaching client, who I recently released our podcast episode around the fact that she landed a macro job a few months after working with me inside of the accelerator, and she increased her salary as a clinical social worker by 50% now that she's landed her macro job. And a salary like that really truly is life-changing for her, not just for her, but for her husband and her new baby, right? And so what I was telling her in the podcast episode is that oh, that's you, Candace. Okay, look, Candace in the chat. And so what I was telling her is that I really truly am eating off of the fruit of the seeds that I planted as a case manager. If I would have spent my time when I was in that cubicle with 120 plus caseload ranting and raving and woeing about the fact that such and such, I didn't even know those things existed, but such and such association didn't do this, or my higher education system didn't do this, or my mama didn't do this for me in third grade, I would not be in the position where I am now, be it like in every aspect of my life. My life is completely different, glaringly different, and it's getting better every day. So I really wanted to come on and encourage you to really assess your mindset. And if you are walking around with the holding the misconception or the belief or the thinking that someone is coming to save you, nobody ain't coming to save you. You have to save yourself. Your employer ain't coming to save you. So if you sitting around waiting for the people to give you a promotion or give you a raise, they ain't gonna do it. You have to do it for yourself. You have to go after it for yourself. If Candace would have sat in the job where she was and just I'm just going to wait until they see how great of an employee I am. I'm just going to wait until she would have missed the life-changing opportunity that was waiting for her beyond steps in front of her, right? And a lot of the times it's just fear that holds people back. And I used to be guilty of that. But again, when I adopted the mindset of nobody is coming to save me, that is what pushes me beyond my fear. That's what pushes me in my scared moments. That's what pushes me when it's I don't know if I got it in me. Because I know up here that nobody ain't coming to save me. They ain't came and saved me in the last 20 years. They not coming to save me in the next 20. So I really wanted to come on and offer you that reframing and encourage you to challenge that thinking, because what I see is that a lot of social workers, people, period, not just social workers, I work with other professions as well, really have the potential to change the trajectory of your life if you just understand that the time, the energy, the emotion that you spend focusing on what I call low-hanging fruit things, like the association should have did this, the school should have did this. Okay, you've been out of school for 10 years. Are we still going to talk for another 10 years about what the school did? Or are you going to take the responsibility and realize, okay, the school didn't give me what I thought I was going to get. What can I do in now, present day, to supplement what I feel that I missed or what I need? Okay, so that's the whole purpose of that. And again, higher education, that system is not there to teach you how the fundamentals of getting, keeping, and advancing in jobs. They are there to teach you how to critically think. They are there to teach you theory, in some instance, even application of theory. Once you accept that, understand, okay, I got the theory, I got my degree, you then need to sit down and do an assessment of where is the gap here? What is the gap between my education and me getting the job that I want? If the gap is I need to learn how to write a resume, I need to learn how to effectively job search, I need to work on my career confidence to go after the life-changing salaries, right? We call them scary jobs inside of the accelerator. Do an assessment. But the whole point of it is you need to have a real open, honest conversation with yourself. Okay? I don't blame them, but I definitely feel I would love to know how to pivot into something more sustainable. Exactly. I'm going to look into your info. I love it, Jaylee. Yeah, most definitely. And again, people don't know what they don't know. So that's what I'm telling. That's what I teach my coaching clients, is all of the things that I had to figure out on my own through trial and error. What I teach inside of the accelerator, I didn't read in a book. I didn't learn in a classroom. I didn't learn that on a job. This is from 20 years of trial and error. When I first started out, I only had a high school diploma. I started working in state government and call centers, right? I worked my way up. It took me almost 10 years to figure out, how do I escape the grips of being in a call center? Because when I would apply to jobs, I would only get interviews for call centers. So I cracked the code on that, because I'm like, I don't want to do call center work no more. I'm tired of talking to the people. I'm an introvert. I didn't had enough. I would like me a nice little admin assistant job, right? So it took me years to crack the code on, how do I get out of call center jobs and get into these other jobs? And then in the meantime, I started to work on my degrees. I got my AA degree, I got my bachelor's degree, I got my master's degree, and now I'm currently working on my PhD degree, right? And again, the impetus between all of that is because I adopted the mindset of no one is coming to save you, Marthea. Save yourself. Do what you need to do today to create the future you want tomorrow. And that's the benefit of being a futuristic in thinking. Like, what's the personality test? Myers-Briggs. I'm very futuristic. I am always forward planning. So whereas a lot of people, they're just focused on surviving the day. But what I teach my coaching clients is that you really do have to be thinking about tomorrow. Is the job you're in now going to afford you the freedom, the autonomy, the financial security you need to have the life that you want 3 years from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? If not, then you need to be doing things today to get you to where you want to be. So I wanted to come on and talk about that, because I think people need to hear that more often, that no one is coming to save you. You got to figure it out on your own. Even if you don't want to use my coaching services, you got to figure it out on your own. But you continuing to just sit in limbo and wait on the federal government to decide to pay social workers more. Wait on, inequity to no longer be an issue. You're going to be waiting multiple lifetimes, right? When you could be really fast tracking your life now. And that's what I've created inside of the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator. It's a workaround. I became a macro social worker because of the inequities I saw in the workforce system. The fact that certain groups of people were pushed to low paying, low quality jobs. The fact that they're not giving the opportunity for like quality training opportunities and things like that. It's a real issue, right? Inequity doesn't just happen in certain social service systems. It happens in the workforce system. It happens in the job market. It happens in the social work profession. So what I've created is a workaround, and it works, right? My coaching clients, every last one of them, and it's been over 185 of them since I've been officially keeping count, that have landed macro jobs. They're now making the most money they've ever made in their career lifetime, and they're happy. I talked about that last night. I have a coaching client, Julia, who did a podcast interview with me. When she was working in her micro job as a case manager, she was going to the hospital every week because of the stress from being on call, the stress because she was the leader of the team, the stress from just always being asked to do 50,000 things over and beyond her job duty. Within 2 weeks of being in her macro job, she realized, I'm not going to the hospital anymore. She's lost over 70 pounds. 70 pounds, and it's been less than a year. 70 pounds. So the 70 pounds was attributed to stress. She happy now. She have freedom now. She spends time with her family and friends. She go to dinner during the week. She's living life. And I see it every month on her Instagram page when she does a recap of her month. So I just wanted to say, like, for you, it may not be money. It may be some other area of your life that you really are just like, this can't be it. And I want you to know that it can get better. But again, the responsibility is on you to seek out ways to change it and understand that you're going to have to make an investment, right? Again, my investment was time. I'll never get those years back where I was doing trial and error. My investment was tears, because I cried a lot of tears when I couldn't get a job, a good paying job back in the day when I was in those call centers. I invested a lot of energy. Right? I spent a lot of times. It was a lot of weekends that I didn't go out on the weekend. I never went out anyway, but it was a lot of weekends where I didn't spend time with family and friends because I was home applying to jobs. Even during the work week, it was a lot of times that I didn't take a break because I sat at my computer at work applying to jobs. You're going to have to invest something. If you're wanting to change your life, it's not going to be free. There's something that you're going to have to give up in exchange for a new you. And for Candace, what she invested, and she talked about that in her podcast episode, is money. She invested her money. She invested her focus and her time. She came to every coaching call. She didn't question nothing that I asked her to do. She invested her time. She even went as far as like, okay, for me to really like commit to this process, I'm going to need childcare. She put the baby in daycare so she could have more time, more capacity to job search. So I really wanted to say that, and I feel like I'm going on a rant, but I'm telling you, that changed my life. When I adopted a mindset and got real with myself and looked at my life up until that point, no one ever came to save me. And when you understand that, and again, this isn't just specific to family, friends, people that you know one-on-one. It could be systems. It can be organizations. Your employer is not going to come to save you. They're not going to magically give you a raise. They're not going to magically give you a promotion. The such and such social work association is not going to magically go advocate for you to make more money. You have to do that on your own. And you're going to have to invest something. Do I recommend networking as well? No. I don't teach my people to network. We get jobs through traditional means, applying, interviewing. None of my coaching clients knew anyone at the organizations where they got their jobs. That is a waste of time. Now, I do believe in strategic visibility. That's what I teach my coaching clients, how to professionally brand yourself. But that doesn't look like having 50 coffee tea chats a week or a month with people who have no hiring power and authority. Because the truth is, when you spend your time networking, you're giving your freedom to choose the type of job you want away to someone else, because they can choose where they want to put you if they even have an opportunity. So I don't teach my people to network. I don't teach my people to volunteer. I don't teach my people to take a demotion. I don't teach my people to do any of the stuff that the social workers on the streets tell y'all to do, because it doesn't work. Because the coaching clients that I work with, they've tried all of that by the time they reached me. They've tried the free groups. They tried come over here to such and such group and we talk about this. None of it was fruitful. It wasn't until they learned the actual fundamentals, how to write a resume, how to find a job, how to read a job description, how to answer interview questions, did it work for them, right? You got to get back to the basics. Especially now, because everyone is overusing the whole networking thing. And that's been proven on LinkedIn. They've done extensive research on it, that cold, what they call networking versus cold applications applying to jobs. Networking is dying out. That was something that people did in the height of the pandemic, and now people are over relying on it. So I do what I've been doing for the last 20 years, just applying to jobs. None of my jobs that I know anybody at the organization. I got them because my work preceded me. I focused on producing quality work at all times, and then I focused on only applying to jobs that aligned with the work that I wanted to do. Right? When you have to spend your time networking, that means you don't have clarity. You don't know what you want to do. And so that's why that's the first step inside of the accelerator that we do, is I take you through my career clarity framework. We get crystal clear. What type of job do you want? How do you want your day-to-day work to look like? What population issue do you want your work to be support or impact? And then from there, I teach you how to find those specific jobs. So when you apply to those jobs, you then become what I call the unicorn, right? And then macro employers, they literally kick the door down to get to you, because your resume is so targeted, it's so specialized that they want you. That's why they increased Candace's salary. Candace's salary was not what was originally posted on the job post. They had already negotiated the salary for Candace because she was just that extra special. She was just that big of the unicorn, right? So I don't teach my people to network. That's a waste of time. We could be actually applying rather than waiting on someone to decide to give you an opportunity. My people on average get macro jobs within 30 to 45 days. When you network, that's months and years. When you volunteer, that's months and years. You could have been and had a job and started making big money by the end and living your life. But if you spending your time doing fruitless activities when you can be doing activities that actually yield results, I think that's a better use of time, right? So I'm going to go. But enrollment in the cohort for Micro to Macro Career Accelerator for cohort 21 opens on Sunday. If you want to learn more about the program, I got a whole bunch of information in the link in the bio. But it was on my heart to come and talk about, no one is coming to save you. Like I'm out of state right now dealing with a family matter. And it's just like, I remember the fact that when I worked in a call center, I would have never been able to leave work for a whole week and come spend time with my grandma. That would have never been a thing. But I have the freedom to do that now because of the seeds that I planted 10, 12 years ago, right? I have the freedom. I'm not stressed about, I got to get back to work. They only gave me a day off. No, I can sit here with my grandma as much as I want to, right? So again, but if I sat and waited for someone to give me an opportunity 10, 12 years ago, I would not have this freedom that I do right now in this moment. So I'm just so thankful that I planted the seeds and I adopted that mindset. You're welcome, Jay. Have a wonderful day. Happy macro career planning. Bye.